Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in. She gave up everything to be with him. Her freedom, her family, even her future. She believed love could tame a monster. But when she uncovered the truth about who her husband really was, he didn't just betray her. He fed her to his dogs. Literally. This is a haunting story of a woman who loved a Mafia king and paid for it with her life. Patrizia Mancini was a woman of fire and elegance. Raised in a conservative Italian Catholic family, she defied expectations when she married into power, Mafia power. Her husband, Salvatore Romano, was a man everyone respected and feared in equal measure. To the outside world, Patrizia had it all: wealth, protection, status. But behind closed doors, she was walking a tightrope between loyalty and survival. For years, she played the perfect role: the elegant wife who stood quietly beside the man who ruled a city from the shadows. She turned a blind eye to the whispers of bodies buried in concrete, drugs packed in church vans, and judges bought with gold watches. Until one day, she didn't. In early 2022, Patrizia vanished. One moment she was planning a charity gala. The next, her phone went silent. Sal told everyone she'd left him, that she was having a mental breakdown, that she'd taken off with a younger man. But something didn't add up, because neighbors heard screams the night she went missing. Screams followed by snarling and growling from Sal's private dog enclosure. For pit bulls, trained for protection, but never seen with outsiders. And 2 days later, the dogs were put down. Quietly, no explanation. Blood was found near the pen, and hair, but no body, no proof, just one truth. Patrizia never came back. Detectives had their suspicions, but with no corpse, no witness, and no confession, there was little they could do until someone unexpected came forward. Emily Cross, a 22-year-old college student, tearfully admitted to police that she had been having an affair with Sal for nearly a year. But her confession didn't stop there. She revealed that Sal had transferred over $4.5 million into an offshore account in her name. And just weeks before Patrizia's disappearance, he had changed the beneficiary on his $10 million life insurance policy. He took Patrizia off it and put Emily on. Emily was supposed to be his next wife. But what terrified her most wasn't the murder. It was what she found hidden in his home afterward, in a locked drawer. Inside that drawer were photos, dozens of them, blurred faces, duct tape, chains, underground rooms. Some of the victims were women, some were barely teens. Sal hadn't just killed his wife. He'd been hiding a secret life for decades. Emily turned over everything, but in doing so, she marked herself as next. FBI agents raided Sal's mansion days later. He didn't resist. He smiled. And as he was being led into a black SUV in handcuffs, he whispered to the cameras, "Tell Emily I'm coming home soon. She won't be alone for long." With Sal behind bars, authorities thought the nightmare was over. But just weeks into his incarceration, something strange happened. A prison guard went missing, one who had regular access to Sal's cell. And then a package arrived at Emily's apartment. No return address. Inside, a single flash drive. It contained a video, grainy, silent, time-stamped for the night Patrizia disappeared. And what it showed changed everything the FBI thought they knew about who really killed her. What was on that video? Was Sal working alone? Or was someone else in the family pulling the strings? And is Patrizia really dead? Or did the queen of the underworld find a way to disappear before her king could destroy her? The flash drive was delivered in a plain brown envelope. No note, no sender. Just a device that Emily almost threw away until she saw one word scribbled on a label in red ink: "Watch this before you sleep." When she plugged it in, her hands shook. The footage was grainy, low resolution, time-stamped June 3rd, 2022 at 9:17 p.m. The exact night Patrizia went missing. The scene showed Sal's backyard. Patrizia stood alone near the dog pen, her face pale, her arms crossed tightly against her chest. She was clearly arguing with someone off camera. Then, a second figure stepped into frame, but it wasn't Sal. It was another woman. She was wearing black, her hair tied back. She looked like she knew Patrizia, and as the dogs began to growl and bark, the woman turned, just enough for the camera to catch her face. Emily gasped. It was Sister Lucia, the family's longtime housekeeper, the woman who had helped raise Sal. The woman Patrizia had once called her second mother. FBI analysts confirmed the video was authentic, and it shook the entire investigation to its core. If Sister Lucia had been there that night, what was her role? She hadn't been on any security footage. She hadn't shown up in phone records. In fact, she testified to police that she hadn't seen Patrizia for days before her disappearance. Now, the new footage placed her at the scene, moments before the dogs attacked. When agents returned to question her, Lucia was gone. Her apartment was abandoned, her car missing, her bank accounts emptied, and a second, chilling discovery was made in a cabin she once owned in the outskirts of town. In the freezer were bones, human bones, some fresh, some decades old. As the case unraveled, more secrets surfaced. Investigators dug deeper into Patrizia's past and discovered something shocking. She wasn't always a victim. At one point, years ago, Patrizia had been the one keeping secrets from Sal. Wiretaps and old correspondence uncovered that she had once plotted to leave Sal and take millions with her. With help from a federal informant she had grown close to, that informant disappeared. His body was never found. Had Patrizia made a deal with the FBI to save herself then backed out? Was Sal's plan to kill her actually retaliation, not betrayal? Or was it all a setup? Weeks after the flash drive, another envelope surfaced, this time hand-delivered to the FBI by a local priest. He claimed a woman in a headscarf had passed it to him during confession. Sobbing uncontrollably, inside was a handwritten letter. The ink was smudged, the signature shaky, but it was unmistakably Patrizia's handwriting. In the letter, she admitted, "If you're reading this, it means Sal thinks I'm dead. But I'm not. I saw what he did, what Lucia did, what they've been hiding under the house. I was supposed to be next, but I escaped. I'm going to bring them down from the shadows." The FBI now faces a crisis of uncertainty. If Patrizia survived, where is she now? Who was truly behind the murders? And what was under the house that she referenced in her letter? A warrant was issued to search Sal's mansion again, this time focusing on the underground wine cellar that had been locked and sealed for years. Cadaver dogs signaled strongly behind the north wall. A demolition team was brought in. They began to tear down the bricks, one by one, and what they found behind it was not wine. It was something so disturbing, so unnatural. It sent seasoned agents out of the room, dry heaving in the hallway. The photograph delivered to the courthouse was quickly authenticated. Though grainy, metadata from the image indicated it had been taken just 3 days prior in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The woman in the photo, though turned away from the camera, wore a familiar emerald ring, one Patrizia had worn for over 15 years. It was custom-made. There was only one of its kind. The FBI had once logged it as missing, presumed destroyed. Now it was back, on her hand, and the caption on the back of the photo read, "Still watching, still remembering. The sixth grave is for someone else now." As Sal prepared for trial, he remained eerily calm, unbothered, until he saw the photo. For the first time since his arrest, witnesses say he lost control, slamming his fist against the wall, demanding to speak to his attorney in private. He screamed just one sentence: "She was never supposed to survive." His legal team tried to argue the photo was a hoax, someone exploiting the media attention. But privately, Sal's tone shifted. He stopped cooperating, stopped speaking altogether. And then, people started disappearing. 2 former house staff who had agreed to testify vanished a week before the trial. No signs of forced entry. No credit card activity. Their phones powered down within minutes of each other, over 50 miles apart. Inside one of their homes, authorities found a single sheet of paper on the kitchen table, written in blood-red ink. "She's cleaning house." The FBI was now facing a horrifying possibility. Patrizia wasn't just alive. She was eliminating everyone involved in betrayal one by one. Meanwhile, the map Patrizia had left, the one with the garden marked, had a second, fainter red mark on the corner, barely noticeable until agents enhanced the image. It pointed to a remote rural location, an hour outside the city. What they found, there was a small stone chapel with no signage, deep in the woods. It had no official records, no ownership history. Locals referred to it as La Madonna della Morte, the Madonna of Death. Inside the chapel were rows of candles, many recently lit. On the altar, another message, burned into the wood. You buried me in your darkness. Now I rise in your light. DNA found on one of the candles confirmed it had been handled by Patrizia Mancini less than 72 hours earlier. In a bombshell revelation, it was discovered that Sister Lucia, the housekeeper who vanished after being seen in the dog enclosure with Patrizia, wasn't just complicit. She had once been Sal's lover. 20 years ago, before he married Patrizia, Sal and Lucia had a secret relationship, one that Patrizia had discovered early in their marriage. She had kept it quiet until she realized Lucia never left. She just changed roles, from lover to loyal enforcer. But new evidence from a flash drive suggests that Lucia had grown resentful. She believed Sal was weak, that his obsession with Patrizia made him vulnerable. And when Patrizia found out about the offshore accounts, Lucia reportedly said, "Let her go. Let the dogs have her. If she survives, she deserves a lead." With more witnesses either dead or missing, prosecutors scrambled to salvage the case. But a new bombshell dropped, one that shifted everything. An anonymous email was sent to the lead prosecutor's office. It contained login credentials to a private, encrypted drive. Inside, hundreds of documents, videos, and signed contracts. Proof of bribery, murders for hire, police on Sal's payroll, even clergy involved in trafficking operations tied to Sal's influence. It was enough to indict 23 high-profile figures across state and federal levels. And at the bottom of the email was a simple signature. For every woman you silenced, I'm giving them back their voice. P. Who is helping Patrizia from the inside? Is she working alone, or building her own empire in the shadows? And what happens when the hunted becomes a hunter, and the queen starts rewriting the rules of her husband's underworld? After the encrypted files led to dozens of high-level indictments, a chilling realization spread across law enforcement. Patrizia wasn't just a survivor. She had become an architect of destruction. FBI analysts began cross-referencing timelines, names, and disappearances across multiple countries. The pattern was clear. She wasn't working alone. Every time a key witness vanished, or a body turned up with Sal's secrets carved into flesh, there was always a faint digital footprint. A burner phone purchased near a women's shelter in Spain. A fake ID printed in Istanbul. A wire transfer sent from an NGO in South Africa. Someone, or something, was helping her move freely across borders. The press coined the term, La Rosa Negra, the Black Rose, a secret organization of women who had been trafficked, silenced, abused by men like Sal, and who now answered to a different queen. Despite the chaos, the trial of Salvatore Romano moved forward. But it was a disaster. 2 jurors were dismissed after anonymous threats were made against their families. The judge's private email was hacked and leaked. And the prosecution's star witness, the journalist Patrizia once contacted, was found dead in his hotel room, an empty bottle of sleeping pills beside him. At the trial, Sal sat smug, silent, watching, until day 16. That morning, a large manila envelope was delivered to the defense team. Inside was a single item, a VHS tape, no return address, no explanation, only the words scrawled in red marker. You thought I'd let you speak first? The courtroom was cleared. The tape was played behind closed doors. According to those present, what played on screen was a confession, but not from Sal. It was Patrizia, sitting in front of a dim light. Her hair shorter, dyed, her accent harder. She spoke slowly, carefully. I married the devil because I thought I could control him. I was wrong, but I survived him. Now I will bury him, not in dirt, but in truth. She detailed everything. The financial embezzlement, the underground rooms, the political manipulation, the night of the attack, and how Sister Lucia had lured her out under the pretense of fleeing together. She described the moment the dogs were unleashed, how she climbed a steel gate with broken hands, fled barefoot into the woods, and passed out in a drainage ditch. When she woke, she wasn't alone. A woman had found her. A former trafficking victim, Sal, had once sold, someone who had escaped and had been waiting for revenge. That woman nursed her back to health. And then, together, they started planning. 2 days after the tape, chaos struck the courthouse. As Sal was being transferred to a holding facility, the convoy was ambushed by armed riders on motorcycles. Gunfire erupted. 3 officers were killed. Sal's armored van flipped into a ditch. But when agents cleared the wreckage, Sal was still alive, bruised, bloodied, but breathing. One of the dead attackers was identified as a cartel enforcer from Central America, known to have been on Patrizia's payroll. It wasn't a rescue attempt. It was a message. She was letting him know she could have taken him, but she wasn't finished with him yet. Weeks later, a search warrant led agents to a remote monastery in the Alps, one long abandoned, now used as a safe house by radicalized groups. What they found was more disturbing than anything yet. In the monastery's central prayer room, a shrine had been built, but it didn't honor a saint. It honored Patrizia. Photos of her from her younger years, candles, flowers, hand-drawn symbols with Latin phrases. One phrase in particular was scrawled across the wall in black ink: Vindicata, Renata, Regina, Avenged, Reborn, Queen. FBI analysts believed it was a recruitment site, used by women across Europe as a save point, a command post, or worse, a training ground. Just when authorities believed they had uncovered the full scope of Sal's criminal empire, a final, devastating twist emerged. One of the C's flash drives contained a hidden folder labeled only Inheritance. Inside were scans of birth certificates, old passports, and DNA records. Sal had a child, a son, but not with Patrizia, with Sister Lucia. And not only that, the boy had been raised under a fake name, trained in combat, and sent abroad at age 12. His current whereabouts? Unknown, but a single message attached to his file chilled agents to their bones. When the king dies, the heir will rise. For years, the world believed Salvatore Romano had no children. He had told the public he was sterile. Patrizia had reportedly suffered multiple miscarriages. The story had always been tragic and convincing, but now, the truth was out. Sal had a son, Matteo, born in secrecy, raised under a false identity, shuffled between elite military schools and isolated monasteries across Europe, Southeast Asia, and South America. And most disturbingly, his guardians had ties to La Rosa Nera, the underground revenge network allegedly now loyal to Patrizia. Except, Matteo had never met his mother. His real one, Sister Lucia, had kept his origin a secret. As far as he knew, his father was a martyr of justice, and his destiny was to continue the mission. Upon exhuming Lucia's hidden belongings at the burned-down cabin in Italy, investigators found a sealed envelope addressed to Matteo. Inside were 2 items: a photo of him as a baby, held in Sal's arms, a handwritten letter that read, "When you read this, the world will hate your father. They will curse his name. But you must remember, blood doesn't lie. Patrizia was never meant to rule. You are. She will come for you. She will try to seduce you into her crusade. Don't let her. Kill her first." This letter will become the FBI's worst nightmare. Exactly 1 month after the letter surfaced, a video appeared on the dark web, untraceable, high definition, 1 hour long. It featured Patrizia Mancini seated in a dark room, speaking directly into the camera. It was not a confession. It was a manifesto. She called herself the widow of the empire. She claimed that Matteo was not Sal's true heir, but a product of rape and manipulation, that Sal had used the child as a backup weapon in case she ever disobeyed, that she had already found Matteo and had spoken with him. And then she said something terrifying. He didn't recognize his father in the files, but he recognized himself in my eyes. The manifesto split the criminal world in half. Some believed Patrizia was a fraud, using theatrics to build power. Others believed every word. All across Europe and the U.S., whispers of civil war spread through Mafia ranks. Two factions began forming. The Old Blood, loyalists to Sal, seeking to reinstate the Romano dynasty through Matteo. The Black Rose Circle, loyal to Patrizia, swearing allegiance to the only one who survived the devil and lived to kill him. Assassinations, arsons, and executions began to erupt across the globe. Crime families were collapsing. Law enforcement was outmatched. It wasn't just a revenge story anymore. It was a revolution. Then came the Black Suitcase incident, a luxury penthouse in Zurich, 2:14 a.m. Security cameras captured a tall man, possibly Matteo, entering a high-rise belonging to a known arms dealer. He exited alone. 10 minutes later, an explosion tore through 3 floors. When emergency services arrived, the entire suite was gone, along with 6 known members of Sal's former inner circle. Left in the ashes was a black suitcase. Inside, a photo of Patrizia in a red veil, and a handwritten note. "You took everything from me. Now I take back what was mine." P. As war exploded outside, Sal sat alone in solitary confinement, locked in a maximum security prison, awaiting sentencing. But late one night, the guards found something they couldn't explain. In Sal's cell on the wall, written in ash and blood, "She lives. She wins. I see her in every shadow." Hours later, Sal suffered a massive seizure. No drugs, no physical trauma, just fear. He survived, but refused to speak again. His lawyers claimed he believed Patrizia had poisoned his food, even though medical tests showed no toxins. One guard reported Sal whispering in his sleep, "She's not human anymore. She's death dressed in red." By now, the name Patrizia Mancini had become mythic. Once dismissed as a mob wife who disappeared into the dirt, she had evolved into a phantom of justice, a symbol of violent rebirth for victims everywhere. But behind the icon was a woman, scarred, hunted, and still bleeding. And she wasn't done yet. On the morning of Salvatore Romano's sentencing, a mysterious red suitcase appeared outside the courthouse gates. No fingerprints, no witnesses. Bomb squad cleared it. It wasn't explosive. Inside, wrapped in black silk, was a human tongue. And beneath it, a Bible, torn open in Matthew 23, verse 27. "Woe to you, you are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones and everything unclean." Taped to the spine, a courtroom security badge. It belonged to one of the missing jurors. And on the suitcase, one word was stenciled in blood-red paint: silence. Salvatore Romano never heard his sentencing. An hour before he was scheduled to appear in court, a blackout swept through the prison facility. Generators failed. Cell doors locked automatically. When power was restored 27 minutes later, Sal was found dead in his cell. His body was untouched. No marks, no bruises, no injuries. But his eyes were wide open, his hands clenched, and on his tongue, a red rose petal. After Sal's death, every surviving member of the Romano inner circle received a package. Each one contained a black and white photo of Patrizia standing in front of Sal's burning mansion, face covered, a rose stem dipped in wax, and a voice message on a thumb drive. In the recording, she said, "You fed me to the dogs. You buried me. You burned my name. But I was reborn beneath the altar. I took your secrets, your soldiers, your son. You ruled through fear. I rule through memory. You died once. I die every time another woman is silenced. Now, I silence you." And what a Matteo. Authorities finally tracked him to Montenegro, living under a new identity, surrounded by private security. But before they could reach him, Matteo released a video of his own. In it, he sat beside a woman with a red veil, Patrizia. He addressed the world. "My name is Matteo Romano. I am the son of a monster, and the heir to something worse if I let it live." He paused, looked to the veiled woman, then said, "But I choose her. I choose truth, and I choose to burn what he built. So no son ever inherits this poison again." In the months that followed, dozens of hidden victims' bodies were recovered. Justice Real justice finally touched the untouchable. New global task forces were launched to dismantle underground trafficking networks, inspired by the evidence Patrizia had exposed. And across Europe, murals began to appear in alleyways, under bridges, and on church walls, each one painted in crimson, each one showing the silhouette of a woman, draped in red, rising from a bed of bones. At the base of every mural was the same message. She was never lost. She was waiting. In a quiet village in Sicily, beneath a willow tree, a grave marker was found. No official record, no body, just a name: Patrizia Mancini. Queen, survivor, executioner. Some say she's still alive. Some say she faked her death again. Others believe she walked into the ocean that night, once her justice was complete. But one thing is certain: the world will never forget the woman who was fed to beasts and came back as one. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.